Well, Evan, always great to converse with you. And I know you're in the field, you're working with people one on one on a regular basis, and you're seeing gut infections, you're seeing mold, mycotoxins, you're seeing a lot of these root cause factors that are causing chronic health conditions. And so I know today we're trying to really target in on gut infections. So let's talk about some of the most common gut infections that you're seeing.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure to get together. We've done this like every year on the year here for a while now, so I love it. And yeah, you're right. I am in the trenches. I've seen over 2,000 cases and still working, give or take 3 to 4 days a week in the clinic where I'm seeing people that are at the end of their rope. And we look at these cases and we do a workup on them. And many of these people have already had labs done, but maybe they didn't have the right ones done, or maybe they were begging their doctor or their practitioner to do the right labs, and then maybe those practitioners don't know what to do with them. So I see a lot of stuff. I see like old labs, and then I'll typically run new ones. And usually it's a combination of the following: some sort of bacterial overgrowth. You could call it dysbiosis, you could call it SIBO, whatever you want to call it. But this is something like Klebsiella, Morganella, Pseudomonas, Citrobacter, Proteus. These are different bacteria that not only secrete histamine, so this can further a histamine intolerance problem like flushing, food sensitivities, rashes, itching, allergy type symptoms, but these can also be autoimmune triggering bacteria. So we know there's a huge link between uh, rheumatoid arthritis and these autoimmune triggering bacteria. Also, Hashimoto's is linked to Klebsiella. So we'll look at the specific infection and then we'll try to match it up. It's almost like a game, which is why I love it, because we'll see the diagnosis on one side, like, okay, Hashimoto's. And then we look here at the gut infection. We go, oh, well, there you go. Ding, ding, ding. And so we'll try to match those two up, and then we go into parasite infections, which that's what wrecked me years ago when I was known as the gut guy for a long time until I got sick from mold. And now I'm like the mold guy that still has gut knowledge. But I had Giardia and Crypto, and
Mm.
these are waterborne parasites. I grew up in swimming in lakes and rivers and creeks and streams and playing outside like kids hopefully will do today. And unfortunately, when you're in that fresh water, you pick up those parasites. You'll also see blasto, you'll see Dentamoeba fragilis, Entamoeba histolytica, blasto a lot is, I see blasto a lot in like Latin America, South America, people that travel, maybe they go to Ecuador, Guatemala, Colombia, Brazil, South Africa. I've seen a bunch of people that travel there to like do these safaris and they always come back with parasites. You don't have to travel though. That's a myth. I
Mhm.
had parasites and I had never been out of the US. So this idea that this is a rare conversation here, that this is only for an exotic few listeners. No, this applies to everyone because
Mm.
the food supply is international. Think about your blueberries. They could be from Canada. Your pineapple could be from Costa Rica. So the food supply is international and you could potentially get exposed that way. Also food, water, soil, these things are everywhere. So we got bacterial, we got parasitic, and then you have fungal infections too. And this is the real, to me, almost one of the bigger smoking guns because I've pursued these other parasites, I've pursued these bacteria in certain clients, and we don't get all the way to the finish line. Like there's still lingering symptoms like anxiety, fatigue, depression, skin problems, insomnia, low libido, weight issues. And then all of a sudden we get to these fungal metabolites. And when we run the organic acids test, we can look at those now. And Great Plains does a great job of showing specific fungal metabolites like aspergillus and fusarium. So these are type of molds that people may be growing, and when those fungi are growing, they're excreting these organic acids, which we then pick up in the urine. So it's kind of like if you are walking in the woods and you see a pile of ash, you'll know, oh, there was a campfire there. So that's how we're looking. We're looking at these metabolites, these things that get spit off from these fungus or bacteria. And that's a big problem because at an extreme level, you could even see it on a chest x ray. They call it an aspergilloma. It's pretty creepy looking, but it looks like this almost like a black tennis ball growing inside of you. That would be an extreme manifestation of this fungal problem. So I'll usually come in and do herbal antifungals up the nose, and then we'll do those orally for a few months. But then we have to find the source. So if someone comes to you and they say, "Hey, I treated these parasites and they're back. I treated these bacteria and they're back. I keep running these protocols. I'm bouncing around from naturopath to naturopath, doctor to doctor, functional medicine guy to functional medicine guy, and they're running oregano and caprylic acid and biocidin and all these other things, and they're still spinning their wheels." Usually the light bulb goes off for me, and I'm like, "Okay, well, where's the hiding mold?" And usually we find it. It's either in the urine, excreted as mycotoxins, they're colonized and it's on the oat test, or they're still living in it. Oh, yeah, I had a leak in my bathroom. We just kind of painted over it. Or, oh, we had a basement flood a couple years ago and we tried to dry it up and put some fans down there. It's like, that's not good enough. So, usually, if there's an infection that is chronic, there's an environmental piece that someone hasn't found yet.
Yeah, because those environmental pieces will weaken the immune system. And we know that even though you're taking herbs like oregano, like you talked about caprylic acid, you're taking all of these antimicrobial herbs that support the immune system. The immune system is, if its baseline is already weak, then your body's really not going to be able to eliminate these. And it's basically going to create a home. It's going to create an environment that's ripe for these infections.
Tell me if this analogy is any good. I've been using it with clients and they haven't told me whether it was good or bad yet. So the analogy I've come up with is mold is almost like the bad guy at the back of the nightclub. He opens the back door and he lets all these scrubs in the club.
Mm.
So they're tearing things up, making a mess, crashing the party. And so you kick out all these guys, you kick out all the bacteria, you kick out the yeast, you kick out the parasites, but the back door is still open. So they're just liable to come back in, tear the place up again.
Yeah, that is a good analogy. I've also heard this one where it's kind of like, if you've got a dumpster and you've got a whole bunch of rats in there and you go in, you spray rat poison. Yeah, it kills the rats, but you still have a dumpster. If you don't clean up the dumpster, what's coming back? The rats,
Yeah,
right?
this is true.
And this is what so many people are doing is they're going on short-term protocols. They might feel better, they might not, right? Their detox pathways may not be open, their drainage pathways, so they may actually feel worse taking the herbs. Or if they feel better, it's only for short term because, shortly later, when they come off of them, the symptoms return.